For this project, I headed to my local Walmart to grab a small waste container that came with a lid. We will want a lid with a nice concave curve, which will be best for collecting the rainwater. By turning the lid upside down, we need to use a scrap piece of wood placed under the area we will be drilling the holes into the lid. You will want to use a minimum size of 1 inch for the drill bit so that the water will quickly enter the can. Carefully drill into the lid in at least 2 spots, as close to the lowest part, so there will not be any standing water. Once you have drilled through the lid, turn the lid over and use a small knife to cut it away any burrs or plastic. This will keep any debris from getting caught to clog up the holes. Next, we will need to use a small piece of mesh as a small filter for any leaves that might get into the lid. I'm using a metal piece of 1/4 inch mesh that will glue down to the lid. Lay a bead of glue across one side of the area where you drilled the holes. I am using a disposable paint stick to help lay out the screen so I don't get burned by the glue before it cools. Using the stick, I press the mesh all across the lid to get a good adhesion. Next, I will lay out some zigzagging glue along the sides and the back and press the mesh down. This will give it a nice adhesion to the lid. We aren't worried too much about how it looks, since this will be on the bottom of the lid once it is placed on the can. Once it is flipped back over, you can see the nice clean look of the lid and how the mesh will make an excellent filter. Now it is time to pick out a faucet for us to retrieve the water. Look for a spigot that allows the water to flow out with ease. You will also need to choose a drill bit that is just about the same size as a threaded connection on the back. When selecting the area on the bucket to drill, never drill right at the bottom, but mark a spot just an inch or two higher. This allows any small dirt or debris not to clog the spigot when using it for the water later. Drill into the marked area on your bucket, careful not to press too hard. The drill bit will eventually pop through the plastic. Next, use some plumber's tape to wrap around the threads of the spigot. Typically, you wouldn't wrap as much as this on a normal plumbing job, but you will want to give it a good 6 to 8 wraps for this project. Once the tape is on the threads, place it on the hole of the bucket and with a gentle push, start turning it clockwise. Eventually, the threads will grip the sides of the bucket and start to get tight. Keep twisting until the spigot is tight against the walls of the bucket. Do not over tighten. Make sure you stop as soon as it is snug. You can apply some clear silicone on the inside of the bucket to aid in the waterproofing if you desire. The next step was to place the bucket and the lid on a stand that I put outside next to a downspout on my house. I cut the downspout so that any rain that falls on my roof will gather in the gutters and flow into the rain barrel. I then zip tied the lid down so that it doesn't blow off with the wind. I finished just in time for a rare spring storm that moved into the area that afternoon. As the rain started to fall, the lid gathered the first drops that fell. As the rain picked up, the gutters did their job and the water started to flow nicely. With even 1/10 of an inch of rain, an 800 square foot roof section will gather enough rain to fill a 50-gallon bucket. This small passing storm gave me at least 40 gallons of fresh rainwater. I can then fill my watering can and use it to water the plants around the exterior of the house. It might not seem like a lot, but it is a great way to practice water conservation in many parts of the world. I really hope you enjoyed this project as much as I did, and I can't wait to see you again on Home Talk.
We're excited to show you how to trick out your trash can. We're going to be using Fusion paint again in the color Casement because we don't have to seal it, guys. That's really awesome. So we're going to take our Harlequin stencil. We're going to lightly pounce up and down, and we don't care if it comes out perfect because that is not the whole point of the exercise, and it's not the look that I'm going for, perfection. I almost want a marbleized look. I really like to use black and white together, guys. So I bought the can with the base color already, black, knowing that I could just accent with some white and it would make it a little bit easier. So we're just gonna come over here. Notice how we're not having to reload 1,000 times our brush. So one dab of paint did an entire stencil. So now we're going to repeat the pattern. We're just holding the stencil with our hand. We don't have any kind of adhesive on the back of it. I don't use adhesives. I find them to be a little bit more tricky than helpful. I like to have control of my stencil. So again, we are not going for a really, really white look. We're actually fading down a little bit as we go from brighter to fading out a little bit. Okay, and I will show you guys how easy it is to have control, and we will wrap around the side. You get really lucky on these because when you wrap around the side, all you gotta do is this one right here, and then it will be a flat straight away again. Whoops. It moves a little bit, guys, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And we really don't care about going all the way around the back. So we're just gonna do this one because nobody's gonna see the back. And we just gotta wrap around this corner. Then we're gonna turn ambidextrous and use our other hand. And we've got our Harlequin done. And on the next step here, we're gonna take all the points of our Harlequin and add this hot pink connector polka dot. But a trash can is typically something I throw, like someplace so that it's hidden. This one, we're gonna bling. This saves you from having to hide it. Now that we've allowed our background Harlequin to dry and the hot pink polka dots that we put on, we are going to play with some redesign with Prima transfers. So when you have your transfer and you take your backing off like I just did, do not touch the image or do not let the image touch anything until you know exactly where it's going to go. Once it sticks down, you could easily lose it. So we've got these little sticks that Prima gives you. There's also fancy tools. It just all depends on what you want to use. Okay, coming off nicely. And we got it off. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fold this piece up. I just wanna go over it to make sure that everything's down and make sure that I have no air bubble. I like using this waxy side piece because it's not going to scratch it and it's not going to cause any damage. Then I can take my finger, press the sides down more, and we know we've got it nicely now. Then we're going to use this large flower here. Going to be super cool. So we just have to see how we actually want it to go. So we're going to want to overlap a little bit. We'll rub this side down. We're not doing this fast or anything. We're gently going around the corner. Now, if you notice, I had made a little boo-boo over here. Transfers are great for if you make a mistake. So do not give up just because you made a mistake, because even those of us who have been doing this 15, 20 years make mistakes, guys. Just stay patient. And you've got a perfect transfer in here. No crinkles, no bubble. And we're just gonna push down all over the place to make sure that we have no air bubbles in here. Then we can take our piece that we used on the waxy, shiny side and do the same thing yet again. Okay, I've got that one perfectly. We're working on our finishing touches, so we want to get a little bit of redesign with Prima on the top as well. My name's Dustin Van Fleet of Dustin Van Fleet Design, and I hope you guys have loved coming along for the ride of this tricked out trash can as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.